Hey everyone, welcome back to Earl Grey Books. I'm Ali. Today we're doing part 2, or part 3 rather, of my December wrap up. I mentioned in my last part that I read a lot of books in December. I read 32, 2 of which were DNFs, and here we are talking about the last bunch of them. Let's just get started, I reckon. So first up, I read Tales from Outer Suburbia by Shaun Tan. You've seen this one a lot recently. Bought it in December. So it was in my December book haul. It was one of my favourites of the year. So it was in my children's favourites that I posted last Wednesday, and now it's here again. So I rated this one 5 stars. I absolutely adored it. Shaun Tan does beautiful illustrations. This one here is one of my personal favorites. And then he does little short stories to go along with them. Sometimes it's just the picture that's the story. Other times there is also a story included. They're just really beautiful. So gave that one 5 stars. And I mentioned in that last video that I'm super excited to read some more Shaun Tan in 2020. So next up I have an ebook. I created for myself a little Christmas TBR, which I posted on my blog. I only ended up reading one of the books on that list because it's me, which was Like a Winter Snow by Lindsay Harrell. This is about a woman who goes to Cornwall to be the bridesmaid at her best friend's wedding, and she meets a guy there, and you can kind of imagine what happens. I didn't love this one. I really struggled to get through it. I didn't realize when I picked it up that this was a Christian romance, and nothing against anyone who is Christian, but I don't personally have a religion, so it kind of made me feel a little bit uncomfortable with some of the stuff that was in there. Yeah. Moving on, I read Dark Days by James Baldwin. This is one of those little Penguin Modern things. I don't really know why I bought a few of these and really ended up only having an interest in 3 of them. This being one of them. Gave this one 4 stars. This was my first time reading anything by Baldwin. Really enjoyed it. Thought it was great. Only problem I had was sometimes I found it a little hard to follow. He references a lot of stuff that's happening when he's writing, so it's like the 60s in America, and I, having been born in the 90s in Australia, I don't really know a lot about that other than kind of what I was taught in history class. So there were just like names of people that I was like, I don't know who that is. Even names of places in the US, I was like, that could be anywhere. But otherwise I really enjoyed this. Of course we have some poetry. Again, I've talked about this one quite a lot recently. This is Kindred by Curly Saunders. Saunders is an Indigenous Australian woman. This one I really loved. It is just very uplifting and it's really full of hope, and that's not something that I generally read in poetry, and it was just really nice to see that there aren't really any poems that I, off the top of my head, that I can remember that made me feel sad. So it was just like a really lovely collection. I'll be talking about this one more soon. Oh, did I elbow you? I'm sorry. Next I picked up some more James Baldwin with The Fire Next Time. I bought this one while I was in the US in 2018. Finally got to it. Didn't enjoy this one as much as Dark Days. I really liked the first part, which was the letter to his nephew. But then the second part, I just got really confused, and I didn't know most of the things he was referencing. So I just kind of felt a bit lost. I did still really enjoy his writing though, and I gave this one 3 stars. I'm very excited to hopefully pick up some of his fiction in 2020. Next, this one was just a really fun read. This is The Highlander Who Loved Me by Adrienne Basso. I had to go to the library to use the printer there because I don't have one at home. And I ended up walking out with a few books that you can see here. I did manage to get through most of them at least, so there's that. This is a historical romance. First book in the McKenna series, and as you can tell by the title, it's about Highlanders. So it takes place in 1329, and this was just a really fun book to read. I've been really getting into historical romance. I haven't really read anything Highlander. I didn't think it would be a time period that I enjoyed. I really like reading Regency historical romance, and maybe Victorian, depending on kind of what it's like about. But I really enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun. Of course, it kind of had that like Outlander vibe to it, but it was just great. I gave this one 4 stars. The characters are really great. Some of the plot is a little bit far-fetched, but it's a historical romance. So that's kind of, yeah, you know, it's in the genre, but I still really enjoyed it, and I'm hoping that once I get back from my trip, I can put in a request for the library to buy the other books in the series. So yeah. What you doing? Looking so cute back there. Hi. Now we're on to the last 2 books that I read in the year. This one here is The Complete Poems and Translations of Christopher Marlowe. He was a contemporary to Shakespeare. He was murdered. That I somehow just like, I don't know. People in my friendship group in high school somehow talked about Marlowe quite a bit. I don't really remember why. It was part of a like party that one of my friends hosted, and yeah, anyway, somehow I completely skipped the part where he was murdered. I didn't end up loving this. When I started it, I really did. Like, I thought it was brilliant. And then it just kind of dragged, and I got bored. And so I gave this one 3 stars. I'm glad that I read it, but it's also leaving my collection now. And then finally, I ended the year on a super good note. This is Monster, She Wrote. Again, I've talked about this one a lot. This is by Lisa Kruger and Melanie Anderson. This is a little book talking about female authors that wrote horror and speculative fiction in the early days. So it's got like Mary Shelley in here. As you can see, here's Mary Shelley. And I believe this is supposed to be Shirley Jackson, and I think this might be Toni Morrison. I really loved this. It is a beautifully put together book. So it's broken down into different sections. So for example, Cult of the Occult. And then it's broken down into authors. So this is Marjorie Bowen. And then it sort of gives you like a little history on their lives, what they wrote, and then at the end of each author they give you a reading list to suggest where you might start with that author, and then there's a little quote from one of their books too, and it's just stunning. there are a lot of authors in here that I would really like to read, so that's kind of going to be one of my projects for 2020, and I will talk more about it if and when I get to it. Those are the books that I read for the last part of 2019. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in a few days time with my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.